Hey guys, this is Easy CDL. We're gonna do air brakes. This is the new modernization way, which is a little different, a little shorter than the old way. This is gonna be the long version of air brake test where I explain what the differences are and what you need and don't need to do. First, we're gonna make sure that we have a wheel chock set up. So the first part of the air brake test is going to be to drop the air pressure to 90 or below. Then we're going to start the truck. We're going to push both of our valves in. We're going to bring the pressure up to governor cutout. Then we're going to shut the truck off, put the key back in the on position. We're going to grab our stopwatch. We're going to push our foot brake. We're going to wait until it settles down, about 5-10 seconds. We're going to call a PSI. Where it settled down, count a minute, and then we're gonna wait and see how much we lost during that minute. The next test is gonna be the low pressure light and buzzer. We fan the brake until the light and buzzer comes on, and then after that we're gonna do the spring brake pop out test, where we call out when the spring brakes popped out. Now the difference between the old way and the new way for the test is, the old way, you had to mention the ranges. Let's say my governor cut out between 120, 140, and what the actual cutout occurred at. For the applied leakage test, you had to tell them maximum 4 psi. For low pressure light and buzzer, you had to give them the psi and then also tell them, no lower than 55. And for the spring brake pop out, you had to call out when the valves popped out, and then you also had to give them the range between 20 and 45. The new test, you don't give them any of the ranges, you give them only the actual PSIs. So you're gonna tell them when the governor cut out, you're gonna tell them where your PSI started and how much you lost, you're gonna tell them when your light or buzzer came on, and then you're gonna tell them when your spring brakes popped out. You're not gonna give them the minimum or the maximum values. You should still know those values, and for governor cutout, that value is between 120, 140. For the applied leakage test, you can lose no more than 4 psi in 1 minute. For the low pressure light and buzzer, it is no lower than 55. And for the spring brake pop out, it is between 20 and 45. But again, you don't need to say that on the test. So we're gonna start with our air brake test. Gonna drop our pressure to 90 or below. We're gonna start the truck. And then as soon as we start the truck, we're gonna push our valves in. We're gonna give it a little gas, no more than 1,000 RPM or so, and we're gonna watch our gauge until the needle stops moving. Usually you will hear a sneeze. Ignore the sneeze, because that may not be your truck, that may be a truck next to yours. So you can listen to it, and when you hear it, don't rush to assume that your governor cut out. Wait to make sure that your needle actually stopped rising. That's what you're waiting for. You're waiting for the needle to stop rising. And again, you don't need to give them the range. When the cutout occurs, you just tell them where it occurred, and then you move on to the next test. Okay, we heard the sound. Okay, so we heard the sound and the needle actually stopped rising. So the needle stopped rising at about 136 psi. It dropped down a little bit, that's okay. You want to tell them where it stopped rising, which was 136 psi. and you don't need to give them the range of 120, 140. So my governor cut out 136 psi. The test is good. Make sure while you're doing this, you don't touch the foot brake. Okay, keep your foot on the floor or on the gas pedal. Now we're gonna shut off the truck. Key back on. We're gonna make sure our stopwatch is in our hand. Reset to 0. We're gonna push the foot brake nice and firm. And we're gonna give it 5-10 seconds to stabilize. So we're at about 118 psi. And my minute starts now. And sometimes during the minute, your needle might go up a tiny bit, 1 or 2 psi. That's okay. You're checking for loss. So if your needle actually rose slightly, at the end of the minute, you can just tell them that you lost 0 and the needle actually went up a little bit. And make sure this is at least a minute. Okay, my minute is up. My pressure actually went up a tiny bit. I lost 0 psi. The test is good. Again, you don't need to tell them you can lose no more than 4. You just tell them how much you actually lost, and that the needle slightly went up. You just tell them, hey, it looks like it slightly rose. Next test is your low pressure light and buzzer. You don't need to wait until light and buzzer come on. You look at the dash, and as soon as one of them comes on, that's it. Do not take your eyes off the dash to look at the gauge. Keep looking at the dash, and as soon as your light or buzzer turns on, then you look at the gauge, you memorize what number it came on at, and then you continue talking with, you know, my low pressure light and buzzer turned on at. For this test, do not pump your brake fast. Pump it nice and easy. You want to be exact as to where your light or buzzer came on. So we're looking at it. If you press it, the light comes on and goes off, that's okay, that's enough. As long as it came on, you're good, you can stop. Okay, pressure was at 66 psi. Now it's slowly rising, that's okay. It was at 66, you're gonna call 66. So my low pressure light and buzzer came on at 66 psi. This test is good. You don't need to tell them no lower than 55. You just tell them where it came on. So the needle is at about almost 70 now. That doesn't matter. It was at 66 when we looked at it first. That's the number you call out. Next is gonna be the spring brake pop out. Occasionally, they'll pop out at the same time. Sometimes they'll pop out at different times. Doesn't matter. If they pop out at the same time, you give them 1 reading. If they pop out at different times, you give them 2 separate readings. For this test, fan the brake quickly and hard, okay? You want to simulate rapid air loss. And watch the needles. Do not touch them. Okay, they popped out together at 33 psi. So, spring brakes popped out at 33 psi. This test is good. Again, minimum's 20, maximum 45. You don't need to say that. It's in the range, popped out at 33, that's enough. If only one of them pops out, you call when the red one popped out, then you keep fanning until the yellow one pops out. Do not touch it, just look at it from the side to make sure that they both popped out. Pay attention. Sometimes one will be in and guys don't notice it. So if you're looking at it, you can kind of see on the side, the space in the back. You can also look at it from here to make sure that they both popped out. If you think one is still in, do not touch it, okay? Because if you touch it, you interfered with the test, you have to restart the test. Just keep fanning until it pops out. Like that. So this one popped out now at about 24 psi. So they pop out at the same time, you give them one reading. They pop out at separate times, you give them two separate readings. We're gonna air the system back up. Now, if you make any mistake on the air brake test, you will restart the test, and I'll tell you how. Okay, now we're gonna do a tuck test. We're gonna put it in drive. We're gonna push one valve in, try to move forward. Okay, brakes are holding, neutral. Pull it out, push it in, put it in drive. Make sure it's in drive, try it again. Okay, brakes are holding, put it in neutral, push them both in, put it in drive, pull forward a couple of feet. Okay, neutral, brakes out. Okay, my truck did not pull left or right. My brakes are working properly. There's no problems with brakes or alignment. This concludes my air brake test. If you make any mistake during the air brake test, let's say you're doing your low pressure light and buzzer, your truck's off, you mess up, you're gonna go back to the beginning. You're gonna shut the truck off, you're gonna pull the valves out, you're gonna drop it to 90 or below, you're gonna start the truck again, and then you're gonna push both valves in, and you continue repressurizing the system. So any mistake during the air brake test, pull them out, shut it off, drop pressure, start it back up, and repressurize it all over again. Again, no matter what mistake, you go back to the beginning. Thank you for watching, and good luck on your test.